Figured out why it's such a desperate need for people who are single without kids when they're in their 30s to go out and do random acts of exploration and adventure. And the fact is, because they don't have children, they don't know what love is. So they have to desperately grasp at things that they can think of to enrich their lives in the absence of this love, which they can't feel because they don't have children. And that's the fact. The true reality is that people who are so desperate to fill their lives with random acts of, not adventure, but random acts of like just going somewhere on a whim because they have nothing better to do. It's because they have a void, a vacuum inside of them, which is the natural tendency to have children and to love those children and to raise them and to appreciate life itself. And so what do they do? What do they do instead? They try to fulfill themselves. They try to fill themselves with whatever they can. And the reality is you can't fill that void. You can't fill that void with anything but love. And you're not going to love someone as much as you would love your own child. There's just no fucking way you can do that. No way you can do that. Unless or until you literally watch a child be born and then raise that child from that point until they're able to speak and say, I love you. And then once they can say, I love you to you, there's no comparison to any of this other bullshit that people are trying to do for themselves and try to fill themselves with this like arbitrary acts of either adventure or excursion or whatever, trying to escape this otherwise deep longing that they have. And for some people, they just straight up can't feel that, even if they have children. And so they end up having to, they feel like they're missing out on life. When in all actuality, if they have children and they don't love their children as deeply as they should, then they feel like they have to escape their children and go on adventures to feel like they're still in their 20s or whatever it is. And the reality is, when you were in your 20s, you were no happier than you are now with these kids, because you can't feel happy. Because you can't feel happy. That's the reality, is that certain people literally can't feel happiness because there's something wrong with their brain, or because they never were raised properly, probably, you know? So that's my shtick. Peace.